welcome back to my channel. Wagwan, what's good on the door? Oh my god, you guys, I miss y'all so much. I'm so happy to be back sharing with you another video. And to all my new subbies, to all my subbies period, to all the people who like up the video, leave a comment. A world of thank you. I appreciate it so much. It's literally the fuel that drives me to think of great content, to come back here and be like, show up real good. You know what I mean? So thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. So today I want to jump right in. I was actually thinking about, okay, I know there's a ton of information on YouTube about, things you should do when you have your locks, you have your starter locks, all those great advice, right? But I haven't seen a whole lot of videos talking about the things you need to consider before when you're in the research phase of maybe deciding to get your locks. Let's talk about that. So that's what I want to talk about. I want to help all the people who are on the YouTube street scouring. They haven't decided what method, what kind of locks they're gonna get, and they're kind of like a fish out of water, just trying to get back to water. They're trying to get all the information they need so that they can make solid decision and actually thrive on this journey. So that's what I'm going to be talking about in this video. I am heavily nearsighted, so your girl is going to put on these to help her out. So I have a book in front of me to keep me on track because I'm a talker. So I need to have my book so I can not ramble on. All right. Number one, know your options. Know your options mean that you are going to be pouring into a lot of research. And for all the people who are super new to like the different kind of locks, type of locks, I'm gonna just run through them real quick. So when you're doing your research, you have to figure out what type of lock you want to start out as your foundation or just period, right? We have sister locks, which is a form of micro locks, but the sister lock is branded. That's the brand of the micro lock technique. So decide whether you want sister locks or you want regular micro locks. Do you want traditional locks, whether that's going to be the small, the medium, or the large size? Then we have instant locks. Then we have lock extensions, starting out with lock extensions. Then we have freeform locks, we have semi freeform locks, we have braid locks, and we have 2-strand twist locks. So when we talk about type of lock, we're talking about how you're starting out. Those are kind of the foundation that I just outlined. So you have to do your research, know your options, know what it entails in terms of installation for these different type of lock methods, as well as what the maintenance look like. And then within all of that, you also have to consider what kind of density you're hoping to achieve. So if you're someone that have light or low hair density, you probably want to go in with the smaller size. And that's just my personal opinion. Other people might disagree, but in my opinion, I have average size density on my head, and I know that doing my locks smaller this time around is going to give me a fuller look, as well as factoring the type of lock method that I chose for my foundation, also gonna give me a fuller look. My very first set of locks, I had them from 2017 to 2021, and those were braid lock foundation. That's how I started out with the plaits, and they were a little bigger than these, than what I have currently. And while I had really pretty density, I'll post a picture here somewhere. I'm gonna post a picture of me in my 4th year. While I had really beautiful density, when I cut those locks off in 2021, I still saw the plait or the braid pattern in quite a number of them, and I also saw how compact and compressed the individual locks were, because the plait itself was done really tight, and then I was also interlocking it really tightly as well. So when it comes on to deciding what type of foundation you want, whether you're going with, especially when we're talking about the instant lock, the lock extensions, and the traditional small locks, you have to really think about how you want your hair to kind of look, the density. You have to factor that in. And the density, I believe, in my opinion, if you have low density, low to average density hair, I believe that going in with smaller size locks are going to give you more volume. I do believe that. Let's talk about these other types of lock method foundation. They're also in the maintenance category, which are like palm rolling. You can also start out, that's also another type of lock foundation, as well as maintenance. Like, it's kind of the same thing, so I have it in the same category. So palm rolling is also another type of lock method, as well as comb coils, and as well as interlocking and crocheting from your hair. Like, if you have loose hair, you go to a loctician and they can literally, that's a form of instant lock rather, where they can crochet it on the spot or do their interlocking technique to give you that instant lock look. And then you also have the twisting method, right? You put the 2-strand twist in, and then maybe after 2 weeks to a month, they'll just like twist the root. So there's so much different type of lock foundation to start out with. And so my biggest advice for you is to know your options. Don't rush the process. When you're thinking of getting locks, you're deciding, don't rush the research process. It's very important. The reason why I think it's so important is because when I started my locks in 2017 with the braid locks, I was ecstatic. I enjoyed every single phase of that lock journey. In my mind, there was no ugly stage back then for me, because I had length to my hair, right? And when you do braid lock, your hair doesn't shrink as much too, so I still was able to retain some length than if I had done a 2-strand twist. But the point I'm making is that when I did those first set of locks, after maybe 2-3 years of having them, I was like, oh my god, I should have done 2-strand twists, and I should have done this, and I should have done that. And it was really because when I started them, I kind of did them on a bit of an impulse. Like, I was thinking of getting locks, but I didn't spend the time to do a lot of research to find out the different type of lock foundation. And when I thought back, 2-3 years into my first set of locks journey, when I thought back, I was like, if I had done more research, I probably would have started with 2-strand twists, or I would have done instant locks. So it's so important for you. I can't stress that enough. And you have to just dive into every single one of these. Dive into sister locks, see what the installation process is like, the maintenance, and the costs. Dive into if you want to do palm rolling or comb coils, dive into what the installation look like, the maintenance, the pros and the cons, and then look at your lifestyle to see if that's something you really want to do full time. Now, point number 2, I'm really trying to hurry it up, y'all, but there's so much to talk about when it comes on to locks. Like, it looks simple, but there's a lot of different factors to consider, especially before you decide on getting them, because you don't want the hassle of putting them in and then you're just like, oh, I should have done more research. Like, okay. Point number 2, don't be pressed about the money, y'all. I know, especially if you're going to be doing sister locks, especially if you're going to go to a loctician to put in some really tiny micro locks. Like, it can be a pretty penny, but don't be pressed about the money. The moment you start to think about, oh, I want the cheapest deal to get my locks in, it's the moment you're deciding that you're gonna spend more time probably correcting, you're gonna spend more time undoing it and go again. You have to along with doing a lot of research, you have to also not be pressed about the money. Be pressed about finding a great loctician. Because at the end of the day, that person is going to be the person who is starting the foundation. And you want to ensure that you meet with that person. Book a consultation, visit their shop. Let's see what the environment is like. Let's see how they receive you. Are they warm? Do they care about your questions? Or do they have an attitude about answering your questions as if you're bothering them or begging them something? You want to ensure that your loctician is someone that you can see yourself going to for a good time, not for a long time, not a good time. All right, it's very important that you meet with them, see if your energies align in terms, because sometimes you meet people and they don't have to say anything bad or anything at all, but just energy wise it's not blending, it's not mixing, no. So you need to meet with your loctician, ask questions, ask a lot of questions. That's why you need to do a lot of research first. And if you think you have decided in step 1 that okay, I'm gonna do micro locks or I'm gonna do sister locks, when you go to that consultation, you need to be armed and ready with very specific questions to ask your loctician. Or if you don't know what question particularly to ask, then when you go to them, if you've decided on getting sister locks or some other micro locks, just say, hey, what do you think is the biggest pro or con your customers normally have with this kind of lock method as opposed to X lock method? Let's start there, and then of course that's gonna get a conversation going and you're gonna get way more details. So be pressed about finding someone who care about hair health. Be pressed about finding someone who actually care to give you what you want, right? If you want your grid to look a particular way, if you are a stickler for crisp parting and it have to look like, real clean and neat and precise, then find out if that person has done work similar to what you're looking to get. If they haven't, you're gonna be a guinea pig and you just know that you have to go somewhere else. So my advice is to book several different consultations and then assess the work. Of course, you can always access that on their social media. If they don't have a social media, what are they doing? Are they running a business? I beg, why not? Please have a social media so the people them can see what kind of work you do, okay? But if you want to know what kind of work they do and they don't have social media, I don't know, maybe you know somebody that goes to the loctician, hopefully, and you're happy with the kind of work that they do, right? But interview your locticians. Don't let them just be short with you and thinking that you owe them something. No, they're doing a service and they need to have a caring attitude, and they also need to have the attitude of we're in this together and it's not like it's your thing and you need to figure it out. No, they should be helping you along that journey. Now, point number 3, get your hair in the best health. And remember, these are all advice that I'm giving you before you even book an appointment, before you even decide what kind of grid you want, how much lock count. These are all pre-install lock things to consider. All right, so get your hair in the best health possible. So don't be like, oh, I'm gonna get my locks in the next 3 to 6 months, so I'm just gonna let my hair be, let my hair go. You no longer keep up with your regular washing schedule. You no longer treat it. You're probably doing all kind of crazy color into it, and you're just treating your hair like, oh yeah, lock is gonna be the cure-all to me mismanaging it. No, you need to be consistent with your regular care, washing, treatment routine. Reason being is because when you do decide, if let's say that you do micro locks, you probably braid the root of it an inch or two, and then you twist the ends, right? Babes, if you don't trim your hair, if you weren't trimming your hair, and if you weren't taking care of your hair, if you weren't treating it and moisturizing it, how do you think that's gonna look? Like, it's gonna look raggedy. You're gonna have to trim it when you put those twists in. Unless you do instant lock, or unless you do what you call it, free form, or unless you do the extensions where you won't really see the huge damage to your hair like that. But if you're doing other methods, just like plaiting, 2-strand twist, that kind of thing, you are going to see all the deficiencies in your hair. I'm telling you, from someone who started out with chemically treated hair, and I twist those babies up and I had a lot of straggly ends. When I twist her up, even though it was fine, I was still able to see all the mess that the chemical had done to my hair and what needed to go, and it was not a pretty sight. So take it from me, I know. Keep up with your regular care routine on your hair, so that when you finally put in whatever method you choose to do, your hair still look healthy. Okay, if you don't have healthy foundation, you ain't gonna have healthy starter locks. Locks not gonna cure you mismanaging your hair. Okay, number 4, be ready to embrace the roots and the frizz, baby. They gonna come in. So if you're the kind of girl that always love it to be sleek, unless you're going to be retwisting your roots or palm rolling that baby or comb coiling her, like unless you're gonna be doing that every week, and unless you're a girl that don't work out, right? Lifestyle, you don't work out, you can afford to twist it every week, then embrace the frizz. You gotta embrace the frizz. You gotta embrace your roots. Your hair is gonna grow. You need the growth in order for you to have something to twist or to interlock. And if you, as soon as you see a little space, a little puffiness, and you just twist, you're stressing your roots out. You're stressing your roots out. Like, come on, be for real. You're stressing your roots out. So you have to be ready to embrace your roots growing out and your frizz. I mean, if you're someone who have always worn wigs your whole life, or you love the neat and sleek look, maybe you need to consider you need to consider palm rolling, and then learning how to do it yourself, because you go into the hair salon every week just to ensure that your roots are neat and sleek gonna be pretty expensive. So you have to think about all those things. What is the kind of aesthetic that you wish to have? Because if frizz and if growing out roots are not your thing, baby, then you're not going to be happy. You're not going to be happy with this journey. And your lock journey is literally a process. It's just another chapter in your self-love book. I know it sounds corny, but it is what it is. It's another chapter in your self-love book, because you are going to be seeing a side of your hair that you've never seen before. You literally have to let her be. She's going to shrink so bad. She's like, for people who struggle with a lot of shrinkage, if you do decide to lock your hair is probably gonna shrink to half its length if you're someone that already have crazy shrinkage. If you don't have a whole lot of shrinkage, your hair is still gonna shrink, and it might surprise you that it's gonna shrink more than you normally see it shrink. And within the first year and a half, you're going to be seeing a lot of shrink, a lot of budding. I'm trying to use words that you understand. I'm trying not to use the lock words, because if you're watching this and you don't have experience with locks, of course you're not going to know what that means. But basically, within the first year and a half, your hair is going to swell. It's going to swell, and it's going to really have that butterfly look, but it's not going to be the cute version that your stylist doing in the salon. It's going to be like the real janky looking Rastaman butterfly. And I'm not using janky to be derogatory to hair and to locks at all. I'm just trying to put it so you have a realistic expectation that this is not a pretty journey when it starts, my friend. Especially if you're a neat and sleek girl. Remember, you have to be ready to embrace your roots and frizz. So I'm giving it to you raw. I ain't sugarcoating anything. You might not like your hair and how it's shaping and contouring and sticking up and doing its own damn thing in that year and a half. You might not. So if you are not mentally prepared to embrace your roots and your 4C and your 4B, I don't really care, the 4s. If you're not ready to embrace the 4s in its true raw nature, then this is not the journey for you. You cannot edge control the entire head, okay? I like me some edge control, okay? I have no shame in my game about that. But you can't do the entire head. Like, and if you plan to retwist your hair every week and every 2 weeks, you're gonna have crazy buildup. I interlock my hair and I only put edge control here, and I have buildup. This is my 9 months of lock. Of course, I have on some extensions, but I had my own locks growing and doing this thing for 7 months before I put these extensions on, and already I have buildup in my hair, and I interlock, and I only put water and oil for the most part in my hair. I don't put no cream, I don't put no conditioner. So imagine if you're the neat and sleek kind of girly, you're gonna have crazy buildup, sis, and you're not gonna like it. So you have to be realistic about embracing your roots. You're gonna have to let those roots and those frizz be sometimes without trying to sleek and neat everything, because you're gonna run into a whole different bunch of issues. All right, so that's just me keeping it real and rough with you, because mentally you have to get there, okay? And again, it's just another chapter in your self-love book. You're gonna go through that year and a half in breeze. It's gonna breeze by, and you know what's gonna happen, sis? After 2 years, 2.5, or even 1.5, depending on your hair texture, a lot of people gonna compliment you. They're gonna be like, I love your hair, I love your hair. Is that locks? What kind of locks is that? It's so beautiful. I want locks. And no one is going to compliment you in that first year, okay? Especially if it's short. No one, nobody go say, oh, your hair is so beautiful, when it's doing all this shrinking and swelling and condensing and looking like this warped butterfly look effect. Ain't nobody gonna see you. They're not gonna compliment you, and you have to be okay with that, especially if you're someone that used to getting a lot of compliments in these streets. You have to be okay with that. You have to embrace it. So if you're not ready for that part, that is the biggest part. That is what a lot of people call the ugly stage. That's what a lot of people call the ugly stage, but it was a beautiful. I remember mine being so beautiful in my very first lock journey. My second lock journey, which is this one, as I said, for 7 months I had my itty bitty locks. They were R. You can see this one where I joined with the extension. This is about that length. So my locks are itty bitty, right, in terms of length. And typically I just don't like short hair, so that was the only awkwardness for me in this lock stage. And I decided I've done the first one from, all through. The second one, I just want long locks. I put on some extensions. That's it. That's all. But you have to, and even so, I still embrace my roots. I interlock. I can interlock now because I just did my daughter, and we kind of interlock a week or 2 apart. I just did hers, so I know it's time for mine. But I'm in no rush because I don't mind the poofy look. I don't mind my roots looking full because I love big, full looking hair. So you have to Very important. It's a mindset thing. You have to rewire up here, otherwise you're going to be miserable in that year and a half. All right, I think I'm going to make this the last point, and I'm going to have a second part to this whole thing because there's a lot to go through. The next point I want to touch on before deciding, you have to think about your lifestyle. Be honest about your lifestyle demands and the aesthetic that you want. And this kind of ties it back into embracing your roots and frizz. But the reason why I bring in this as a last point is that when you lock your hair, if you're a girly that used to do a lot of straight hairs, whether you do the sewing, the wigs, whatever, or you do a lot of braided styles and that kind of thing. And if you're a single woman, that's the reality right now. If you're a single woman and you're looking for a particular kind of partner in terms of how they look and their mentality, the mindset, and maybe even you know, there is what kind of access they have to resources. If you're thinking of getting locks, you have to find out if the kind of men that you want to attract will going to be interested, if they're going to be attracted to a woman with locks. It's a real thing. A lot of women have gone back to straight hair because of that very reason. It's just a reality. Nobody want to talk about it, but I'm here to talk about it. If you are someone that love the neat and sleek and the straight hair vibes, I'm not discriminating. I like wigs. I've played with wigs when I cut off my locks a lot. And you know what I know? What I noticed when I had my locks, and this wasn't even a reason why I cut off my locks. So let's be clear, because I'm a very happily partnered woman. So this is not the reason. But when I cut off my locks in 2021, and I started to just dabble in different hairstyles, mostly like half wigs and that kind of thing, I realized that I got way more looks. I got way more, you know, hey, how you doing? Than I did before. And when I had my locks, I attracted a way different crowd than I did when I started wearing the straight hair and all these things. So my friends, if you are the kind of woman that you're looking to attract a man that, you know, he aesthetically, he's all about how he looks and he presents, I'm not saying that he's empty head, but he presents on a more physical level, you're not gonna be his girl. And you have to be okay with that. It's not a rejection of you and you being like this horrible person. You're just not his type. Aesthetically, you're not his type. But your type are out there, but you might not like them. You understand? And because your type may just be the more creative kind of people, the more spiritual kind of people, or the more you know, go with the flow kind of people. They don't really make anything bother them too much. So you have to think about all those things. You have to be honest about your lifestyle. You have to be honest about the aesthetic that you want and you're hoping to attract. And a part of lifestyle is also, are you an active person? Are you a gym girly? If you're a gym girly, I'm telling you right now, those comb coils, beautiful. Those palm rolls, beautiful. Those retwists, beautiful. They ain't gonna be beautiful when you're done sweating. And if you're going to the gym 2, 3 times, 4 times a week, how often are you gonna plan to retwist your hair to have your neat and sleek look? Because a lot of the reasons why people do the palm rolls and the retwists is because they love the aesthetic, the neatness and the cleanness of it, and it is beautiful, and that's what I wanted. But when I realized that I'm gonna have to be in my head way more often than I was a loose natural, I said to hell with that. because I'm in the gym on average 3 to 4 times a week, right? Some weeks it's like 2 times a week, but even so, I sweat. I sweat. Do you see this hair? It's a lot of hair. It's a lot of hair. Imagine me a palm roll this thing twice a week or once a week. Who have time for that? I have 259 locks in my head. I'm not doing that. So you have to think about your lifestyle. Are you an active girl? Does palm rolling and retwisting make sense for you? Do you have a loctician on speed dial? Do you have a cousin? Do you have a friend on speed dial that can be in your head every week to help you maintain that sleek and neat look? That's why you have to learn to embrace your rose and embrace your frizz, because it's not a smooth sailing journey, and locks is not a cure-all for bad hair and hair mismanagement. And locks is also a journey for you discovering yourself. Even if you put on hair extensions, it's still a journey. Even if you put on the lock extensions, it's still a journey, because again, you have to your how you present yourself in society is going to shift. How you're conceived in society is going to shift. You're already a black woman, and if you're a dark-skinned black woman or a dark brown black woman like me, like, you already have that in addition to locks. So if you're the type of person who want people to accept you and be loved up to you and to be perceived a certain way as like the majority and that kind of thing, locks may not be for you, because some people might just shun you because you have locks, and not shun in like a rude way, but it's just an energy about them that says, I'm not quite sure about you. And you have to be comfortable and be firm and be confident in yourself. I said, I'm in a really business. I don't care. Whatever. I like me. And that's it. So you have to think about the lifestyle demands that you currently have, that you might change into about or whatnot in the next year or so. And then you also have to think about, can you really accept you when other people reject you? That's it. I'm gonna do a next part to this because we're at 31 minutes. My God. All right, guys, thank you so much. Love up and like up the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Toodles.